Hej och välkomna to this week's episode of Fishy Swede. Last week we took a macro perspective on Sweden with the history of Sweden. Today we're going to take a micro perspective on parts and check out the suburb I live in, where apparently the average Swede resides. Later on we're going to go for a promenade again, and this time we're going to go in search for the essence of Sweden. But first of all, let's check out Boozemeadow. Welcome to Hökarängen, guys. This is a suburb located south of Stockholm, 12 subway stations out. And well, it's not that much to look at first glance. It's dominated by this ugly building behind me, Matdags, a supermarket which boasts about having some of the lowest prices in town. But just a stone throw away you can also find this, Sweden's first gågata, pedestrian street. There are even some people who claim this is the first gågata in the entire world. When Hökarängen was built in the late 40s, architect David Heldén designed this small stretch of road surrounded by convenience stores. And I think the idea was to evoke the feeling of the countryside. The trend with gågata was soon adopted by a lot of other burgeoning suburbs, and today there are a lot of streets in central Stockholm that is transformed to gågator in the summertime. So Hökarängen started off with the best of intentions, but it didn't take long before crime, drug dealers and booze hounds started moving in. And soon, in the 60s, people were referring to Hökarängen as Hökarängen, the Boozemeadow. And it didn't take until the 90s until things started to mellow down a bit over here. And the past 10 years or so there has been a gentrification process going on. And nowadays it's a pretty quiet and safe suburb, where apparently the average Swede resides, or at least he or she lived here in the 70s, when Sweden's version of BBC News, Aktuellt, found it necessary to refer to their average viewer as Nisse i Hökarängen, Nisse being a very common name at the time.
I grunden så är Nisse i Hökarängen, som vi säger, en människa som vi har som någon människa. Vi vet inte riktigt vem han är.
So when you've finished checking out the gågata, you should definitely head to this place. It's the pride of Hökarängen, White Guide certified cafe called Konditorn och Bagaren. Let's start our search for the essence of Sweden. First, you have an option. Either continue on this side of the subway for a cool place smack in the middle of a small neighborhood. If you visit Hökarängen between Thursday and Sunday, you can always glide on by to Konsthall C, an art gallery that used to be an old communal laundry facility. Yes, that's right. Back in the 70s, Nisse i Hökarängen used to wash his clothes here. Nowadays, the artists are putting the stains back in. Only a stone throw away from Konsthall C is another art project, a neighborhood park filled with trolls. If you decide to steer your steps to the other side of the subway tracks, you'll find Gubbängsfältet, a giant field filled with picnicking lovers and soccer players in the summertime. Continue on down to this lane. And then you can turn into this lovely little neighborhood, check out these fine brick buildings, and if you're coming in the summer, I believe there will be a new bakery open right over there. It doesn't matter which way you choose, just keep moving south and aim for this destination. Let's start the promenade. After about a half hour, you're gonna hit this place, Farsta Gård. Yes, finally! This is where you get your money's worth. This is the postcard image of Sweden incarnated. The red buildings with the white corners. Röda hus med vita knutar. This is a look that originates from the 1600s, but it was first in the 1800s that it became a fad, a fever that swept through Sweden, and every single Swede had to have their building painted red with white corners. And all this just because they wanted to emulate the look of the House of Nobility, an old building that still resides in Old Town of Stockholm. Farsta Gård is an old farmhouse from the 1600s, but people have been living here for far longer than so. Evidence of this fact can be found, yes, you guessed it, only a stone throw away, where this magnificent beast resides. Yes, it's a rune stone. It's dated to the 9th century, back when men were men and Swedes, were Vikings, I guess. The inscription is a tribute to a man called Vinjut from his brothers Tore and Sven. Farsta Gård and its surroundings is absolutely gorgeous in the summertime. Right now, maybe not that much, even though you can certainly see the majestic vibe. But in the summertime it will be absolutely fantastic, and midsummer is usually celebrated here. So if you're in Sweden by then, you should definitely check this place out. And if you are so inclined, you can eat at the restaurant in the main building here. It's quaint, old, and classic Swedish food on the menu, like meatballs, yes. That's it for today, guys. I hope you've had a fantastic time following me in my footprints down here in Söderort, where we are. That's south of Stockholm. As always, try to give me that elusive thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribing, mash that prenumerera button. Mash it good.